Hello, in this demo I am going to demonstrate the cascadination of GridView with drop-down list. That means what I'll do, I'll have a drop-down list on my page, and the drop-down list I am going to populate it with all the departments, and whenever I select a particular department, it need to display the employees of that department in my grid view. So as we did in our earlier video, we cascaded the two drop-down lists. That means whenever I select a department from one drop-down list, it is going to reflect in our another drop-down list. Now in the same sense, now I'll select a department from a drop-down list and it is going to reflect in our grid view. That means the grid view should display all the employees of that particular department. So what is that I should have? I should have a grid view with all the employees. So I have already with me from my last video. Now I'll take a drop down list. So I'll go to toolbox, from standard controls I'll take drop down list. I have double clicked it. Now I am going to configure the data source of drop down list as we did in our earlier video. I'll click on choose data source, new data source, database. Okay, see that this time it is not going to show me the database name, it is going to show me the connection string that we saved with the name myconstr. See that. Now I'll say next. Now this time I am going to select department ID and department name from department table, department ID, department name. Now I'll say next. Test the query, say OK. The item that I want to display is department name and the value should be department ID. I'll say OK. Now I'll go on edit item like we did in our earlier video. I'm going to add a default item, that is select, with value as 0. I'll say OK. Now if I want this select item to get appended to the result whatever I get from the table, simply I need to set one property, that is nothing but append data bond items equals to true. Append data bond items is by default false, I need to set it to true. Now I'll save this and I'll execute this. Now this is what it is going to do. It is going to display all the departments in my drop down list. So I haven't done any kind of cascading yet. Now we will see the cascading once we get this. Now see that you have a drop down list with select as the first item. Now I can select any department, but what I want, whenever I select a department, my grid view should get the data of that particular department. So initially it is select, so I haven't selected any department, so my grid view should be empty. So what is that I need to do? I need to configure the query of grid view. As in our earlier video we configured the query of second drop down list, in the same way I need to configure the query of grid view. What is it I'll say? Earlier I said that select star from employee table. Now I'll say select star from employee table where department ID equals to get the value from drop down list. Again I need to configure data source. I'll say next. Now select star from employee table where, here I'll say department ID equals to get the value from control which is on the page. The control is drop down list and I'll say add. I'll say OK. Then I'll say next, then I'll say finish. Now I have cascaded my drop down list with grid view. Now you need not to forget one point, that is I need to say enable auto post back so that it should make a post back and update the grid view. Now I'll execute this. Now see that I haven't selected any department, that means the item in the drop down list is select, so its value is 0. Now my query select star from employee table where department ID equals to 0. My query got in this sense. it is trying to find out all the employees of department whose ID is 0. So there are no employees with the department ID 0, so it is not displaying. Now if I select a department development, it should display me all the records of development department. See that its ID is 1. If I select the department admin, its ID is 2, and these are the employees of admin department. If I select QA, these are the employees of QA department. If I select QC, there is no employee in QC. Now what I will do, I will go for the development department. Now I can edit. I am editing Jack and updating ID from 1 to 2. I will say update. Now Jack will be in my admin. I got Jack here with 100 employee ID. So this is how I can cascade my drop down list with GridView. So hope you might have understood this. Thank you very much.